6, Miss Stewart here with the next chapter from The House with Chicken Legs. In the chapter read to you yesterday, Marinka is upset and she's reminiscing about Baba, and she's thinking about all the things she'll do with Baba when they get back, including strolling through the market, because obviously she's not back. So today's chapter is called The Old Yaga. The Old Yaga. I know the retired house in the old Yaga stall is somewhere on the edge of the market, so I weave my way through the makeshift streets in a great circle, checking my hands every few minutes to make sure I'm not fading. Everything is quiet and peaceful, but electricity shivers through the air like the market is waiting for the living to wake up. Once I've got Baba back, we'll walk through these streets together. While they're filled with living people, she'll barter for old musical instruments and tin food, and I'll look at clothes and second-hand books. And instead of being distracted by daydreams, I will hold her hand and appreciate every moment, not like before. A wave of cold damp air breaks my chain of thought. The ground is wet from where a storm must have been washed down. I step over a shining puddle and look up. What do you see? The voice makes me jump. I squint into the darkness in the direction of the words came from. A long curved pipe swings out and points at the puddle. What do you see? The voice asks again, and I realise it's talking in the language of the dead. Relief washes over me. A Yaga. I look at the puddle, confused. It's a puddle. Water, I reply, unsure of myself. A face appears behind the hand holding the pipe. Dark, deeply wrinkled skin and eyes shining with moonlight. It's the old Yaga who runs the Spirit Trust stall. Part of me wants to rush to her and hug her because she is something familiar and a chance at bringing Baba home, but I just stand frozen, my head swimming with hope and doubts. The old Yaga chuckles and I frown. I'm not sure why my answer to her puddle question is so funny. She takes a pull on her pipe and exhales a plume of caustic smoke. I hold my breath until the cloud disperses. It's good to see you, Marinka. Come in. She beckons me through the heavy fabric curtains, past table decorations with skulls and bottle racks filled with Spirit Trust, to the back of her stall where the gnarled front door of her retired house is hidden. A picture of a bottle of Spirit Trust has grown over the wood, with raised images of dead all around it. Most people would mistake them for depictions of the living, but I recognise the signs. The confusion in the faces and the blurring of their edges is visible, even in the simple lines. The door swings slowly with a drawn-out creak, revealing a front room similar to ours. A fire burns brightly in the hearth and the smell of bush hangs in the air. Shining copper pots and pipes are piled up in the corner, though, where Baba would keep her musical instruments, and there are old books and papers strewn across the floor in front of a rickety old bookshelf. The old Yaga offers me a chair and ladles me out a bowl of soup. You've come because your Baba has passed through the gate. How did you know? I tilt my head and stare at her. Although she is old, much older than Baba, her hair is thick and black as the night. Just a few tiny coils of white dot her head like stars. She stands tall and proud, and the air of confidence surrounding her makes her nerves tingle. I understand the ripples that whisper through the gates. The old Yaga sits opposite me, back straight and eyes keen. It wasn't quite her time, I think. Now, I look down and poke at my borscht. She's had to go through the gate to help guide one of the dead to the stars. She'll be back, won't she? I hold my breath as I wait for her response. I've only heard of a Yaga returning through the gate once before. The old Yaga leans towards me. Have you heard the story? I shake my head and she strides over to the bookshelf, picks up a thick leather file and flicks through the loose pages. It's in here somewhere. I was going to put it into the next volume of Yaga Tales. Do you read them? Oh yes, I nod. Memories of dawn-lit bedtime. Stories flooding my mind. And Baba used to read them to me when I was little. I give a new volume to all the Yaga every 10 years or so. I'm a few years late with this one. Finding the time to press over 1,000 copies is difficult. 1,000 copies, I whisper. I had no idea there were so many Yaga. I'd only ever seen fleeting glimpses of one or two at the market. For a moment it feels comforting to know there are so many others, and I begin to imagine what it might be like, but then I push the thoughts away. It's pointless wondering, because I'll never know them. They all lead secret, lonely lives like me. The old Yaga returns to the table with a few yellowing pieces of paper. Here's the story, can you read it? I glance at the ornately written words and shake my head. It's in the language of the dead. That's not a problem, is it? You've been doing fine this evening, much better than the last time I saw you. Heat rises in my cheeks. Baba and the old Yaga always spoke in the language of the dead when we visited, so I never paid much attention to their conversations. Looking back, I suppose I should have tried harder to be polite. I look at the words on the paper again and start to read slowly. The baby who would not be guided. Once in the days of a taller tree and longer summers, a baby came to the gate, carried on the back of an easterly breeze. She had red hair and a cheery smile, and the impatience and temper of a bee in a jar. My eyes widened and I read faster. The Yaga gave her a spoonful of goat's milk, swaddled her in horsehair blanket and sung lullabies to soothe her restless soul. As the baby calmed and fell asleep, the Yaga kissed her cheeks and sent her through the gate, as it was custom and her responsibility. But the baby drifted back. So the Yaga fed her a spoonful of damson jelly and swaddled her in her own headscarf and sang the songs of the old. The baby fell asleep once more, and the Yaga kissed her cheeks and sent her through the gate, but the baby drifted back. The Yaga, fearful that the baby would fade away, as souls do when they don't return to the stars, took a deep breath to fill her lungs with courage, held the baby tight, and stepped into the gate herself. Being heavier than the dead who floated to the stars, she fell back into the ocean. She fought with her arms and legs against the icy waves until they were all twisted by the currents. Still she held the baby tight and swam all the way to the base of the glassy mountains. She could feel the baby pulling back towards the land of the living, so she held the baby tighter and climbed the sheer cliffs of the glassy mountains, using her teeth and nails until they were all crooked with the strain. Still the baby pulled back towards the land of the living, so the Yaga held her even closer and carried her further over the great rainbow and through light years of darkness until they reached the birthplace of the stars. There the Yaga kissed the baby goodbye and let her go to return to the stars from whence she came. Exhausted and far from the land of the living, the Yaga did not know if she could make the journey home. Each step was a battle against nature, order of the great cycle. The Yaga fought against the solar winds and meteor showers, against billowing storm clouds and deep black holes. She pulled herself home along moonbeams, and by the time she reached the gate, she felt 1,000 eons old, weighed down by the blackness of the void, but satisfied that she had filled her responsibility to the child. But as she stepped across the threshold of the living, she heard a baby cry at her back. She turned round to find the red-haired baby girl holding on tight to her shawl, smiling her cheery smile. The Yaga sighed, knowing she could not go into the gate again, as she was too tired and too old now to make the journey both ways, so she gave in to the child's stubbornness and let her stay, deciding that if the baby would not be guided, she would raise her as a Yaga. But although not born to be one, as most Yagas are, the child could not go back to the land of the living and could not go forward to the land of the dead. I finished the story and put the paper down with trembling fingers. This is about me, isn't it? About when Baba tried to guide me when I was a baby. You were a stubborn little thing, the old Yaga smiles, but it worked out well, I think. Your Baba loved you as if you were her own, and it looks like she raised you to be a fine Yaga. It's a shame she left early. You're a little young to take over the house and the gate by yourself, but I'm sure you'll do fine. Oh no, I said quickly. Baba is coming back. The story proves it. She's done it before, she'll do it again. The old Yaga said nothing, and her silence pricks my skin. She's coming back, I tried to say more confidently, but my voice wavers. Some of the last words from the story echo through my mind. She was too tired and too old now to make the journey both ways. How is your house? The old Yaga asks. It's fine, I dismiss her question, a cold wave of panic rushing through my chest, with the realisation that Baba might be gone forever. I bury the thought deep inside, unable to accept it. Have you guided any more dead on your own? No, I lie. That's Baba's duty. and your duty now, if you are the next guardian, you must start soon before your house begins to suffer. What do you mean suffer? I frown as I remember the painful splitting sound when I sent the dead away. Yaga's house live for the dead. Guiding is their reason for being. Without it they are lost. They wither away. I picture the crack that appears in the house's walls by the skeleton store with the dry splintered wood all around it, and my stomach tightens. It's not only your house that will suffer. The dead need to be guided. Trapped in this world, they fade away and can be lost forever. Some of the other houses may guide more, of course, in an attempt to stop that from happening, but they will suffer from the strain of guiding your dead of the share of the dead. It is essential that every house guides, or the whole cycle goes off balance. The old Yaga points at me with the end of her pipe and frowns. And then there is you, of course. Me? I croak. My mouth is dry. You are linked to your house in a unique way. What will happen to you if your house withers away? My gaze darts to my fingers as they tremble, as I picture them fading. Nausea rises inside me as I imagine my whole body disappearing and my soul being lost forever. I dig my fingernails into my palms just to feel alive. So we need to get you guiding, the old Yaga raises her eyebrows. You speak the language of the dead beautifully when you want to. Do you know the death word journey words? Yes, no, well, some of them. I mean, I've only just learnt them. I'm not ready. I shake my head. It's still heavy with the memories of the souls I've already guided. Nothing like being thrown into the deep end to learn how to swim, the old Yaga laughs. I remember the house kicking me off the cliff into the lagoon. I feel like it's happening again, like I'm breaking the surface, gasping for air, desperately reaching for something solid. Are you all right? The old Yaga's face crinkles, with concern. Do you want to stay here tonight? I have a spare room made up. We can talk more tomorrow about how you can guide alone. I have to get back to the house and Jack and Benji. I sway as I rise to my feet. The world is falling apart and the old Yaga wants to talk about guiding. I can't be the next guardian. There must be a way to bring Baba home so she can guide the dead and protect me and the house from crumbling and fading and the cycle from going off balance. Being guardian is her responsibility, not mine. Of course, the old Yaga walks me to the door. Come back tomorrow night. I'll help you prepare for your guidings then if you like. Thank you, I hear myself murmur. I watch my arms brush against the fabric drapes on the way out to the street, and I stumble through the puddle into the light of the early morning. I feel like I'm in an itchy, uncomfortable nightmare where I can't get enough air and I can't wake up no matter how hard I try. Laughter rises to my left. I look up and see girls about my age watching me from the next stall. One whispers something to the other and they both giggle. Where did you get that headscarf? You look like an ugly witch who lives in that rotten old house. It's not mine. I pull the scarf from my head. I was about to say it's my grandmother's, but that's not true anymore. How could Baba do this? Leave me here all alone in danger of fading and accept me to become the next guardian? I don't want her scarf. I don't want the scarf of a Yaga. I don't want to look like a Yaga or be a Yaga. I drop the headscarf into a puddle, skulls and flowers swirling in the muddy water, and I walk away, desperately trying to think of a way out of all of this. And that's the end of that chapter today. See you soon, Year 5 and 6. Take care. Bye.